The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the More Clients from Your Law Firm website webinar. Can I just do a quick sound check? If you could raise your hand on the GoToWebinar taskbar if you can hear me. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. That's great. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate that. Glad to know you can hear me. Thank you, Ian. I shall crack on with the webinar, and I shall keep it as short as possible today to give you time to go and get a breath of fresh air in what here at least is a pretty grisly day. But I want to share with you some stuff about how you can get more clients from your website. And the reason I want to share this and the reason I like sharing this is because I was with a client this morning, and I've been working with them for years, and they've done pretty much everything I've told them to over the years, and their website traffic is consistently growing, and the number of clients they get from the websites is consistently growing at a time when others aren't doing so well. If you get your website strategy right, for most firms it can be a substantial contributor to the amount of clients coming into your firm each and every month. So that's the reason I love it. It's one of the most powerful forms of marketing for solicitors. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that you need to be doing to make your website work harder for you. The boring bit about me, I find it boring anyway. A solicitor I'm practicing. I was in the law for 13, 14 years, been out since 2003, so about the same period of time now, non-practicing as I was practicing. Most importantly for you, when I left the law, I haven't just been a marketing consultant, because I didn't want to be one of those people that told people what to do without ever having spent any of their own money. So I have run my own businesses as well. I spent a fortune online of my own money, and everything I've learned I share with my clients to make them do better and to make them get better results. So it's been very effective for that reason. So I'm a huge fan of making life easier. I want my business to be easier. I want your business to be easier. So everything I try, test, I share with you. Today I'm going to talk about more inquiries, how you get more inquiries from your website, how you turn more of those inquiries into new clients, and then some more ideas for doing both of the above. I'll also outline tell you more about my marketing solicitor service if that is of interest to you. If not, that is okay too, but at least you'll understand that it's there to help you if you ever need it. And why is any of this stuff important? Well, I was surprised to see that the latest figures from the SRA, your friends at the SRA, suggest that there's 10,415 law firms in operation at the moment. And in November 14 it was 10,360. So in the last couple of years it's actually gone up. Which surprised me, because as ABS's, the PI personal injury claims market's been affected, substantially reduced. You've got other businesses coming in and taking your traditional work, such as HR consultancy companies, obviously claims companies, but will writers and licensed conveyancers. So the traditional legal market has got a lot more competitors. So it surprises me there's still so many of you out there, which is why the good news is that if you get your web strategy right, you will have as many clients as you want. My clients have as many clients as they want and need. Some of them actually get to a point where they got too many, which I embrace and say, great, get some more staff. And they're like, no, we're happy where we are. But that's a difference of opinion. I'd keep going. So there's a lot of competition out there. So you should do absolutely everything you can to make your website as good as it can be, so that when people do find you, even if they're recommended to you, your website makes it easy for them to take the next step. And in my experience, a lot of the time that isn't the case. So let's start with the common problem, and it always reminds me of when I was in practice, and I used to work with another solicitor, and he'd go off to court and he'd come back and he'd spend 10 or 15 minutes talking me through his court case, explaining how good he was at presenting his case, telling me how good the district judge thought he was at good presenting his case, and then saying to me, anyway, Nick, enough about me, what do you think of me? And I'm not joking. That was pretty much the conversation we had. Now, the reason I mentioned it at the beginning here is to make you think about your own website and make sure you talk about your client and not about your firm. Don't make the mistake of that solicitor. Make sure that you're talking about how your benefit your experience benefits the client. So you're always turning your expertise into what it means to the client. So if you're talking conveyancing, your expertise means that you can complete their transaction quicker than anyone else, or there's less chance of it falling through because you're so expert at the service you provide. If you're a business dealing with startups, you can explain you can get things going quicker than others, you can introduce them to other providers, make their life much easier. So it's always about turning your benefits of service into something that benefits the client. So that's crucial. I should say, if there's a questions box, if at any point you want to ask a question, please do dive in there, pop it in, and I will be glad to answer it. I'll take questions as they come up, as an appropriate gap appears. So don't be bashful. Please let me know if you've got a question. I'll be happy to help. So that's the first point. Make sure you're talking about your clients' benefits of your service. And then let's look at more inquiries. How do you get more inquiries from your website? And this one always surprises me, the number of times that I come across this. And the amount of time people spend on websites is less and less. So you absolutely have a duty to make it as easy as possible for your prospects when they arrive at your website to know that they're in the right place. And even locally, a large firm fails to do this in that right beneath their logo, there's no mention of the fact that they are solicitors, which is obviously a key selling point. It mentions down here they're a law firm, but not at the top that they're solicitors. It is vital that that is immediately beneath your logo. If you're a firm of solicitors, if you're a licensed conveyancer, you should put that. If you're in other ways qualified, you should put that. So that as soon as I land and I look at the top left-hand side, which is where I look, and then read across, I can see that you are the people that I'm looking for. You are solicitors. So it's vital that you tell me what you do. The next thing, and this is another common mistake, is you actually have to tell me what to do. And I'll come on to my 2-minute trust builder in a minute, but you've got to spell out exactly what it is I'm supposed to do at the end of every page. And I call this one purpose per page. Your primary purpose should be, in your case, in 90% of the time for law firms, luckily your clients have an immediate itch that needs scratching. You're the guys that are going to scratch it. So the immediate action that should be taken is that they get in touch with you. Yet so frequently I look at firms' websites and they've gone to all the trouble of getting someone onto their website. They've got them interested in their services, and they get to the bottom of the page and they don't tell them what to do. So for example, on this page, there's nothing at the bottom here at all. And what you have got to do is just spell out what I do next. So call us on this number, fill in our free inquiry form, and get in touch. And you might say, well, there's a button at the top, so I don't need to. You absolutely have to, because if you don't spell it out, they'll hit the back button and they'll go to the next competitors on the list. It is that simple. People, they will only click on 1 or 2 pages of your website on average. You've got to make it easy and make sure that the clicks they're taking are ones that are leading to the action you want to take, which is to get in touch with you. And changes, when these have been implemented, these changes, I've had people that have gone from having websites that didn't produce any inquiries to websites that produce several inquiries a day. And there's a piece of software I've created which has the same effect, which I'll mention later as well. The 2-minute trust builder I mentioned. Why 2 minutes? Well, when I first coined this, I was looking at what made someone take action from arriving at a solicitor's website to actually getting in touch. And I sort of worked out that the average time someone spent on a law firm website before deciding to take action or to get off was 2 minutes. As we become more time sensitive, that time is going down, so it's actually around 90 seconds now. I've looked across dozens of law firm websites, the average is around 90 seconds. So in that 90 seconds, those 1 or 2 pages, you've got to convince someone that you are the firm with the right expertise to handle their matter, their legal transaction or claim or inquiry. So I split this into 2 parts. You've got to have depth of expertise and you've got to have external proof of your expertise, because it's fine for you to say you're experts, but I want to see something else, someone else saying the same thing. So when I look at depth of expertise, what I'm talking about there is amount of pages per area of service. So if you're a general practice law firm, and there's 1 page for conveyancing, 1 page for family, 1 page for employment, doesn't really tell me that you do a lot of any of these. If, however, I go into employment and there's 10 or 15 pages, same in family, I can see that yes, these are areas of law that you actually spend some time helping clients with. Same thing with depth of content on a page. and I've had all sorts of hullabaloos with law firms about this, many of which say, well, you only want a few words, you don't want to give everything away. The giving everything away thing just doesn't apply. There's no way a lay client is going to go onto your website, read what you say, and then say, oh, I'll do it myself. And even if they try, they'll be back. So that doesn't apply. And then the other point is, some people say, well, if you put too much, no one reads it. That's just not true. Some people require a lot of content to be convinced that you know what you're talking about. Others, probably like me, will skim read the content, skim read bullet points, look at the images, look at the overall thread, see some reviews, see some external proof of your expertise, and then take action. So you've got to appeal to both of me, the dual readership part of the skim reader and the content reader. And so you must have plenty of content on each page. Google says you're looking for around 400 words per page. I would say that you can actually go up to 1,000, 2,000 words as long as you break it up with images, bullet points. That is not enough. And some of my best performing legal websites and pages have a lot of content on, far more than most solicitors, but they produce inquiries. And that's ultimately what we're after here. The next point is external endorsement of your expertise, and this is qualifications, testimonials, press coverage, books, articles, volume help. So all of these things that can prove to someone who's never seen you before that you actually do know what you're doing, that you are experts in this area of law in which they need help. All of these things are equally important, and the way I suggest it in my Marketing for Solicitors service I mentioned, which I mentioned at the end, I put together a 4-part training video sequence called the website lead generation system, and in that there's a template because there's a certain layout which works best, and what I suggest is there's contents in the center of the page, and on the right hand side these external proof of endorsement of expertise come down the right hand side. So you have your reviews, you have your qualifications, panel memberships, etc., any press coverage you've had, books, articles published, and volume of people helped, which I always find is a really useful one. If you can put down how many people you've helped, and it's thousands, then okay, it's just a number, but surely if you've helped that many, you must be okay at what you're doing. You must be. So that would appear on the right-hand side, and you can click through to find out more information. A key point that I'll mention at this point is if you have these sorts of things on your website, which are great, don't link through to those websites. The number of times I see firms that have gone to the trouble, they get me onto their website and then they put a link through to Legal 500 and then I'm off and I can look at all their competitors and I perhaps never go back. So if you're going to have those links, when you click on the image, take me through to a page on your website and you explain to me, coming back to Moody told me enough about me, what do you think of me? Explain to me why you being a member of Legal 500 makes you a better firm for my needs right now. So that's the way to do that. Don't send me away. It's a really bad thing to do. Next thing, and this is something that is a bit techie, so I always think, oh, shall I, shan't I? But it's so important, and it's so easy to change and can lead to dramatic improvements. You've got to sell me onto your website. What do I mean by this? Well, let me just show you some of the code that's behind the pages, and if it doesn't make sense to you now, feel free to email me and I will explain it in more detail. I'll put a video up explaining it separately. But when you go searching for somebody, you get the Google results that might look like this, and these are the results for my page. This is what's called a title tag, and this is what's called your description tag. Now this is stuff that goes on behind your website page that you can't normally see. You only see if you go to your page and right-click and view source, then you'll see your title tag and your description tag. But the reason these are so important is this is what gets presented in the search results. And again, a lot of the time there's no thought given to these, but if you don't put down the keywords that people are likely to type in for you, so if you're conveyancing solicitors in Reading, you'd expect this page to say conveyancing solicitors Reading, free inquiry or free quotation in the top blue line, then you'd have the website address, and then the next bit, and this is ultimately sales copy, which is why I mention it and why it interests me, because if you spend time getting this right, you'll get more people clicking it, even if you're not in the first position. So free conveyancing quote, specialist conveyancing solicitors in Reading, click to find out more, click to read more, or click to obtain your free quote, your instant free quote. Although it should never be an instant quote, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But that's, and you'll notice it's in leading capitals, and the reason that is because it gets a better click-through rate, so more people will click it if it's in leading capitals, because of course it will stand out better than the competition. So it's worth finding out, if you don't do your website, asking your web guys, to run a report and see your title tags and description tags, and make sure they're unique to each page. It's not just your firm name on every page, because it can make a dramatic difference to the amount of people finding you, and make sure that your description tag sells people onto your website. If you're trying to find out what people are searching to land on your website, the best place to go is Google Analytics, and there's an acquisition tab and a search tab, and it will tell you which keywords people have typed in to find you. And the reason that's important is because you'll often find that they've typed in a search term which has led them to your website, but the page they've reached doesn't actually answer their question. This is great, a source of information for content for your website, blog posts, more information that you can add to your website. So it's well worth looking at your analytics. It's also worth looking at the pages that people come into your website on, so the landing pages, they're called in analytics, and seeing where people come into and making sure that those pages are as good as they could be. Do they follow the 2-minute trust builder? Do they have endorsement of your expertise? Do they have proof of your expertise? Because there's nothing better. If you're already getting a lot of visitors to one page but not any inquiries, if you spend just a bit of time following my system on those pages, ensuring you've got a call to action, ensuring it says that your solicitors, covering the 2-minute trust builder, you may well find, as many of my clients have in the past, that suddenly you get a lot more inquiries that were just being missed because they were pressing the back button. So it's time well spent. A little bit of time in analytics can make a dramatic difference to the amount of people picking up the phone and saying, can you help me please? So well worth thinking about that, well worth spending a bit of time looking at analytics. And just a couple more points. If you've got a question coming up, then please fire it into the questions box, and I'll get to it soon before I move on to some other sections. 60% of your users want this. I found out the hard way, because I didn't have this for about 2 years on a big website, which wasn't mine, but which was generating leads. Added it, and suddenly the inquiries went up dramatically. It's a simple inquiry form, and it should be on its own page, not on the contact page. The contact page has a very specific purpose of giving your postcode, your address, you're mapped so people can find you. It should be on a separate page with no distractions, and at the foot of every page, that call to action I mentioned says, call us on this number, email this, or complete our free online inquiry. And you might say, well, hang on, if we've already got an inquiry, if we've already got the phone number and email, don't need that. Some people just feel more comfortable filling in an inquiry form. If you don't have it, I promise you, you are missing leads. If you have it on your contact page, it's beneath the address and beneath all the other rigmarole that goes on there, which it normally is. Again, you're missing leads. So, this is one trick that I promise you will generate more inquiries for you. So it's well worth having. The other thing I mentioned, your website Genie, is another way of getting more inquiries. And if you haven't got an inquiry form, he says, remembering why I put this in at this point, putting your website Genie on your website right now becomes your instant inquiry form, because it's a pop-up that says, we're here to help you, click yes or no. As soon as they click yes, they get to basically an inquiry form, fill in their inquiry form and the details, and you get a new inquiry. So if you don't have an inquiry form and you want to fix that, Genie is £20 a month. I'll show you where it is later in the search, but it pays for itself in 9 times out of 10 within the first month for the whole year, because it will generate more clients for you. Once you've got that inquiry form, make sure that you flaunt it. And I've put Amazon there because Amazon seem to know something about web stuff and traffic, and their buy now button is in that position. I put it on this slide on the right hand side, and that's where you should have a link to your inquiry form, if not the inquiry form embedded on each page. And you may, if you're paying attention, think, well, you've said link to it from the bottom of the page. Yeah, you need to do that as well, because even if you have the form embedded on the right-hand side, the majority of people will still read your content by the time they're at the bottom of the page, because, of course, there's enough content on it to make them convinced that you're experts. By the time they're at the bottom of the page, they're not going to click that form, but they will take the action if you tell them to go through to the inquiry form. Which is why it's there on that website, and as I say, a lot more people complete it than you might imagine. So I'm going to come to questions in a second, as I said, so if you've got any, it would be a good time. But I just wanted to cover one point. You are how cheap. You should never put your prices on your website. And I've discussed this, but I've tested it more importantly. If you put your prices on your website, you immediately become a price comparison website. So I don't need to talk to you anymore. And the whole purpose of your website is to get me on the phone so you can talk to me and persuade me that you are the right firm for me. So if you put your price comparison, I can see your ABC and Co. I go to DEF and Co. and say, oh, well, ABC are £150. How much will you do it for? You never speak to me. You don't have the chance to sell me and tell me how good you are. So you should never put your prices on your website. I thought I'd mention that there. So I'm going to move on to the next stage now, more clients from your inquiries, with a few simple pointers, but crucial pointers as well. But I'm just going to take a sip a moment. If you've got any questions, I'm going to mute myself because I'm sure you don't want to hear me swigging. But if you've got any questions, now would be a great time to buzz them in the box. I'll come straight to them in just 1 second. Alternatively, if you want me to have a look at your website and live critique it, I would be happy to do that because that's always good, as long as you're happy for me to just point out improvements, not problems. I'll always focus on your improvement areas. Right, let's have a look at more clients from your inquiries. So I just mentioned it, but the whole point of your website, and this is, again, where a lot of people go wrong, the whole purpose of your website is just to get people to make contact with you, to put their hands up and say, I'm interested in what you've got to offer. Tell me what to do next. The whole purpose of your website is not to sell the entire service. It's not to put people off getting in touch with you. A number of times firms say to me, well, we get a lot of inquiries and some are great, but some are rubbish. So what we want to do is change the website and make it clear we don't want certain types of people contacting us because we just haven't got the time. If you do that, you stop everyone contacting you. And the whole point of your website is to get people to contact you, so you totally derail the efforts. It is much better that you spend time getting training on how to handle bad inquiries more promptly or delegate it to a non-fee earning member of staff. That is the right way to deal with that, rather than try and say, right, no one contact us from the website. They will do as you tell them, but you'll get no business from the website. So remember, the whole point of your website is to generate inquiries for your services. I have never found a law firm that handles their calls as well as an outsourced supplier. Nothing will infuriate more than spending money getting someone to actually visit your website, and then your receptionist is at lunch, she doesn't answer, it goes on a ring around the office, they're all at lunch or playing Sudoku or whatever on the machines, and that potential client that could have been worth £5,000, £10,000 in fees to your firm says, okay, that's not very good. I'll try the next firm on the list, maybe go back to them. Next firm on the list answers the phone because they've outsourced their calls to a call center, and away you go. You've lost that business. You didn't even realize. I have done so much mystery shopping in my time, and the other point is, if you get a call center handling it, they generally are very friendly, amenable members of staff who are trained to be polite and pleasant. In my experience, law firm receptionists are more from the doctor's receptionist ilk. They'll demand reference numbers, they'll ask who I want to speak to, and they will have no understanding that if I'm a new client, I don't have answers to those questions. I've done enough phoning to solicitors to know that that is the case. So my strong advice, I'm happy to recommend someone, is that you get your initial calls, particularly you could have a separate number from the website and test it for a month or two, but divert that to a call center. You can get them to fill in an inquiry form on your website so you can track how much they're handling, where the inquiries are coming from, because that's the other thing. The call center will tell you how the client found you, whereas the receptionist will just put down what's easiest, what's first on the list. The call center will actually do as they're asked and ask the client, how did you find us? Oh, our website. Oh, did you use Google? How did you? Oh, no. Oh, you clicked on one of our Google AdWords ads. Oh, great. Thanks very much. You'll get much more information, which is useful to make sure that you're getting return on investment from in the places you're spending your money. Another easy way to get more clients from the inquiries you're getting, follow up. I've actually done a whole, I know it is, my best work is something I call a meaningful conversation, and it goes into the whole purpose of the first call with the client, how to find out what matters to the client, how to match your service to those needs, how to follow up, and clients that have taken that on and adopted it as a procedure. The best example has trebled their number of new client files per month without spending more on marketing, trebled. So if you're opening 50 files a month, by putting in place a watertight, decent procedure, you could turn that into 150 without spending any more. If it's 50, it could be 100. It will be more clients from inquiries if you get this process right. And sadly, so many don't, particularly in services such as conveyancing, where so often I'm told it's only about price. Absolutely not. That's rubbish. It's not about price. If it's only about price, it's because your fee earners haven't done the job properly. They haven't found out what matters to the client. They haven't matched that to your services. Because when you do that, you can charge a proper fee for your conveyancing services or for any service. So I'll mention marketing as I say, but it's the easiest way to generate more income for your law firm is improve your whole client inquiry process and follow-up process and put free money into your bank. It's a lovely thing to do. I strongly suggest you spend some time doing that at some point. Next, how to get more inquiries and more clients. Just a couple of points here really before we're getting close to the end, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer as promised. But your hourly rate should be somewhere in that bracket, hopefully more than the last one. You should be outsourcing your marketing. You should be outsourcing it for a couple of reasons. One is because it makes no sense time-wise and cost per hourly rate wise for you to be doing any marketing. You can get someone to be doing it for less than your hourly rate to do anything, and because they're a specialist in that area, it is much more likely they'll do a better job. You can hold them accountable to do that job for you. It always amazes me how many owners of law firms are tweaking the website, changing things. That isn't great use of your time. Get someone that can do that for you for a fraction of the rate. If you need help, I can introduce people, but you should never be doing that. And the other reason is because you end up riding the marketing roller coaster, in that you do a lot of marketing, you're quiet, you do that marketing, and you get some results, you get busy, you stop marketing, so suddenly you come down the other side of the roller coaster because you're not busy anymore, you market again, you go back up the roller coaster, and it goes on and on forever. What I teach my consultancy clients is that you need to understand what needs to be done, you need to understand why it needs to be done, then you need to get someone to do it, and each month you manage the key performance indicators to make sure that the results are getting better and better for you each and every month. And that's what I teach, and that's what Marketing for Solicitors does, in effect shows you how to do everything. So if you started to say, I want to do Google AdWords, there's training videos for that. You watch them so you understand what you need to ask when you employ someone to do that. If you need to do an email newsletter, there's training for that. I'm actually just about to do a new email training course for law firms sending email newsletters. That will be available to all members of Marketing for Solicitors if you get in before it launches. And there's just no reason why you should be doing it yourself when you can get it done for less. So that's my rant over. If you really want to make progress, you really want to grow your law firm, you need to be outsourcing your marketing. If you have a website now and you're looking at what I've just said and thinking, crikey, I need to update it and change it, as I say, there's a whole 4-part training system, website lead generation system in Marketing for Solicitors. Don't do what you might think you ought to do, which most firms do, which is take the website down and say, no, I'll wait until we've got a new one. Leave the current website up, get the new design with this current content, and then change the content. Don't try and do it all at once, particularly if you're relying on your staff to write the content, because it will never happen. If you're so upset that your content is so bad at the moment, or looks so bad, or your design is bad, get a new website design and slowly in time change your content. It's the best way to do it. And I have a full website design brief which is within the website lead generation system too. So we've covered all 3 of those things, and I want to talk to you about Marketing for Solicitors briefly, and then at the end tell you how to get in touch with me if you want a copy of these notes, or if you want some of the resources I referred to. And if you, I meant to mention actually the title tags and description tags. If you want a free software tool to see whether you're doing that right, I'll give that to you. Get in touch with me when I give you my details at the end. So Marketing for Solicitors, there's 3 different levels, 3 different prices. The first one is £50 a month. There's no contractual tie-in. You could use it for 1 month, dive in, see if you like it, and dive out, and that would be it. It's direct debit. You're in charge of cancelling the payment. It's not some sort of scam. I've been providing Marketing for Solicitors since 2004. 4 or 5, and I have still some clients on there who've been with me all of those years. They stay with me, I hope, and I'm pretty sure because they're smart people, because they get value from it. So this is a service that is designed to be your Kemp and Kemp for personal injury, your Butterworth, your Jervis Coroner's manual, whatever section you're in. It's supposed to be your manual that tells you how to do everything. It's got the 16 blueprints covering all the main forms of marketing, from AdWords to referrals and cross-selling to email marketing, your premises, everything. There's video training guides in there, so if you're not a reader but you like to watch things, there's video training for all the online stuff. You get a monthly newsletter, you get a one-on-one chat with me where I'll map out what you need to do to make things better. You get a printed, for the 2 issues, you get a printed copy, a live monthly webinar, and we go into more detail about stuff. And then if you're on the fast track, which is obviously the most expensive one, and this is normally for clients going through major change. So you say to me, Nick, I need to change my website, I need to start doing Google AdWords, I don't know where to start, can you hold my hand through the whole process? Then that's the fast track, and starts with a 90-minute call. So there's a service there to help you. If you would like more help, it is available. There's no, as I say, there's no tie-in, there's no contract, there's nothing. I say I do it for the right reason. I hope you find great value. If you don't, then great. I don't want you to stay on there because it won't be any good to you. And I don't want you thinking, well, that Nick Jervis bloke, well, I just want you to be able to leave without any problems. So that's the way I set it up, and that's the way I've always run it. A few people have said some very nice things about it and about me, and I'm always grateful for that. You know, I'm lucky in that I seem to attract really good solicitors who are keen to grow their business, keen to do it quickly, want to know what to do. I tell them what to do. They go off and do it, take action, get results, say thank you, and say, what shall I do next, Nick? If that sounds like you, if you're one of those people that is ready to grow your law firm, wants to take action, isn't quite sure how to do it, and perhaps wants to stop wasting money in the wrong place, because there's nothing worse than having a limited budget, spending it in places that will never produce results, and then coming to me and saying, oh, Nick, what shall I do? I've got no money. Come to me before that. You know, let me point you in the right direction, because, as I say, I've been doing this outside of the law for 14 years and 13, 14 years inside legal practice as well. I've tried and tested everything. So, you know, I really do know what does and what doesn't work when it comes to marketing a law firm. So I'm here to help you. Please make sure you use me. So I would say use the notes from today as an action plan to fix your current website. Make sure you're not making any of those mistakes. Make improvements to your highest volume visited pages, because that will give you instant kicks in client inquiries and instructions. Have a good, decent follow-up process. Have the meaningful conversation with your client. Make sure you find out what matters to them and then relate that to your service. And make sure you get more people to your website. There really are a lot more clients out there. If you need more clients, your website is one of the best ways of getting it to you as quickly as possible. And if you want to get in touch with me, where's the next page? That's how you get in touch with me. There I am. So any questions about today, you can email me, you can call my PA Christelle, well, you could if she wasn't on holiday this week, but you'll still get through to me. A message will arrive at my desk. You can email me on the address there. If you're ready to take action and try M4S, Marketing for Solicitors, for a month, just go to my website, marketingforsolicitors-explained, and you'll see all of the information, everything that's included. I've just touched on it slightly there. There's a lot more. It's a plethora of information available for you, so hopefully you'll find that helpful. And as I say, I'll happily take questions from you. Just email me on njervis@samsonconsulting.co.uk. Unless anyone has any questions now, then I will shortly be ending the webinar. I'll give you a second for any questions, but otherwise, thanks for your time today. I hope you have found it useful, and I look forward to hearing from you. And if you take action and get results, please let me know, because there's nothing makes me happier than someone taking my advice, working on it and going, crikey, that worked, that's brilliant. Please let me know. Don't keep that to yourself. Thanks for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and hopefully we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.